Welcome back, my friends. Today we are taking a look at the Wiha Bicut diagonal cutters with the power button. Does this power button actually do something? Or is it just a gimmick? Well, I definitely want to find out today. I've been to Lowe's quite a few times over the last couple of weeks, and I have noticed their selection of Wiha tools has grown. So I definitely wanted to check these out and see if this power button is actually works, if it's actually functional, and see just how well these hold up. These pliers come in at right around $27, so they're definitely they're not inexpensive. But they're not expensive either, so they kind of fall right into that middle category as far as price is concerned. All right, so before we get into putting this tool to the test, I kind of want to just kind of do a quick little overview of the size and kind of the look and the feel. So if we look at these diagonal cutters, they are very, very thick. If we compare them to the Knipex diagonal cutters, you can see just how much more thick they are, which definitely can be a negative. I wouldn't ever really consider that a positive, and I definitely understand why it's thicker is because of this button. So that would kind of lend to why these are so much thicker, but that would really hamper you if you're really trying to get into a tighter space. And another thing, I also did a video on these diagonal cutters and why these cutters are so great, why they're so good, in my opinion, and the shape of them. This little curve shape here, this allows your diagonal cutters to be so much more versatile and allow you to get into so many more places. And it's so beneficial. If you want to check that video out, I'll leave a card in the upper right-hand corner for you to check that out. These are definitely the exact opposite. These are just going to be for straight cutting. You're not going to pull these out if you're trying to fit these into a awkward position or into to get around obstacles or to fit into small spaces, because that's obviously, these aren't going to be the diagonal cutters for that. Now, aside from the body and the shape, the reason why, of course, they have to be that thick is because of this button. So what this button does, if you're not familiar with it, is the ratio of how far open the handle goes in comparison to the jaw opening. So this is regular, right? So that's how much they open, that's how much your handle's open. So it's about a 1-to-1. Now when you push this button in, it almost goes to about a 2-to-1 ratio. And why that's important is that in theory gives you more leverage, more strength in cutting whatever it is that you're trying to cut. So it allows you to get more power on whatever it is that you're trying to cut. Now, if you look at these, these open up. These are about a 1-to-1 as well. But as you can see, these open up extremely wide, and there's no stopping that. When you don't have this button pressed in, this is literally how far these open. Let's compare that to the Knipex. And the Knipex, they open up probably a third farther. Now, of course, when you push the button in, that allows you to open these a little further, which you compare those to the Knipex. They got the Knipex beat by just a little bit. But what you'll notice is the distance in the handle compared to the distance in the jaw. So it's about a 2-to-1 ratio, which allows you to get that little extra power, while these are, still just that 1-to-1, So the distance that you travel with your handle relatively is the same distance that the jaws are going to open. All right, so what I want to do is I want to kind of test these out. So while this is a cool concept, number one, I want to see if it works. And number two, I want to see how well the jaws hold up. All right, so before we get to cutting, these are brand new, freshly out of the box. They haven't been used to cut a single thing yet. So let's take a look and see how the jaws are, or the cutters, to see if there's any gaps in them. Sorry for the light. As you can see, Nothing at all. So these are brand new. They've never cut a single thing. Now let me compare that to, you know, these are usually my go-to. And let me show these to you. So you see, you know, after quite a bit of use, you know, you can see some light coming through the jaw. So they're definitely not brand new. You know, they definitely use these. Let's put these to the test and let's see if this power button really makes it much easier to cut. And with that, what I want to see is how well the cutters or the jaws hold up. Because if you're getting that extra, according to them, 200% force, you're going to need that when you're cutting pretty heavy duty things. So if the blades of the jaws don't hold up, then, you know, that's pretty much worthless. All right, so let's start off with some copper wire. And I'm going to do this with and without the power button on and kind of give you my take on how it feels. So copper is going to be super easy already. I already know that. But it's just a baseline. Cut the copper wire and cut it out here a little bit. No problem. Let's push that in, see if that makes any difference. I mean, just that pretty much feels the same. It's a really soft metal. It's exactly what I expected. You can see a little bit of copper left over on the cutters there, and that's pretty typical. All right, now let's bump it up to, this is going to be an 8-penny nail. It's just a finished nail. It's a pretty small nail. Let's see how it does. And also I do want to point out what happens a lot of times is if you don't push this button in all the way or back out all the way, I don't know if this is a feature or a flaw, but it actually gets stuck and you can't open it up any further than this. As far as you can open it up. Not kidding you. So if you do decide to buy these, be aware of that. I don't know if it's mine or if that's just how it is with any of them. All right. Well, that was pretty easy. Cutting that. All right. Push the power button. Let's see how she does. I feel like I noticed a little bit that it is a little bit easier with that power button on, but let's take a look at the jaws real quick and see if we have any issues. Ooh. Already? No. We're starting to get some light coming through that already? Wow. So just cutting a 8-penny nail, looks like we're already starting to see a little bit of light coming through. So that's not very reassuring. All right, so let's bump it up to a 10-penny nail. And let's go no power button. And also you have to close the handle all the way in order to push the button. You can't have it pushed out like that. So let's take a look. We'll cut it up here. That was definitely a little harder, and that's without the power button on. All right, let's push the power button in. Let's get this leverage going. Yeah, it's definitely easier. Having that 2-to-1 ratio. Yeah, that was definitely easier. So that I would definitely say I did feel that the power button did work quite well in that particular instance. Now let's see how well these teepees held up. Try not to blind you all. Yeah, I mean, you can see light coming through right where I'm cutting, right there at the very bottom. You can see light coming through. It's not a bunch, but you can definitely see it. All right, let's step it up. This is a 16-penny galvanized nail. All right, so we got the power button off. Let's see how it works. Yeah, these don't even open up almost wide enough to even fit it in the very bottom. And I'll show you how hard I'm squeezing. Oh, shoot. Yeah, that wasn't very easy. All right. Push the power button. Oh, let's see how this works. Yeah, Yeah, the power button definitely makes a difference. You know, certainly not a gimmick. It really does make a difference. It was definitely much easier to cut that 16 penny nail. Now, I don't know if that's in comparison to, it's just in comparison to this without the power button on. Let me see if the power button makes a difference when you compare it to just a regular set of diagonal cutters. Yeah, yeah, I have to say it does. Yeah, that's actually, I'm gonna have to use two hands to cut that. That actually made a pretty significant difference. I was able to cut that with one hand easy. Now, these have definitely been used a lot more and abused a lot more than what these have, but that definitely made a huge difference. All right, I'm going to give it another cut with the power button on. And this is again that 16 penny nail. Oh yeah, yeah, it makes a huge difference. So definitely does make it a lot easier to cut that 2-to-1 ratio. It works. Yeah, that power button works. It's a great idea from Wiha. Wiha is a German company, you know, just like Gimmick and Vera, and I believe their products are actually made in Germany. You know, they're not as expensive as like Gimmick tools and Vera tools. They're a little bit more affordable. KC Tool unfortunately doesn't sell Wiha anymore, so in order to get Wiha, you got to go to Lowe's, and I believe Home Depot sells Wiha as well. All right, so let's see how these jaws held up after cutting the 16 penny nail, see if we have any issues. Oh yeah, so we definitely have a good bit of light showing through the jaws now. The cutting edge definitely has been damaged, and that's just cutting through 3 nails. Again, these are brand new. Let's see how this one looks. It looks like that 16 penny nail did quite a bit more damage. Seems like there's more light coming through these than what there was before. Yeah, that's a good bit of light coming through these. So, all in all, I do like these. You know, they are pretty, they cut really well. The cutting edges are probably not as durable as what they should be, given the fact that that gives you that much more extra leverage. You're going to be more tempted to cut much harder material, much thicker material, which can really do a number on those cutting edges. But this power button deal, it's not a gimmick. To be honest with you, if I was Wiha, I would just do away with this whole power button thing and just make these just like that, just to begin with. Because what is the point of having to push the button to get that? I mean, there's really no point. I mean, you can, yeah, if you're going to cut soft material, use it without the button. Hell, you can use it with the button. I mean, it makes no sense to have to go through that extra step of pushing that button. And that's just me being completely honest with you guys. Not on payroll, just going to tell you what's on my mind. But yeah, these are pretty cool. The only thing I really don't like about them, beside the button, is how thick they are, the head, in comparison to these. And also like that form factor where you have that curved, where the head is curved. So it really does allow you to make a cut in a situation where you normally wouldn't be able to. But that's all I have for you guys today. I appreciate you all joining me. As always, if you're interested in any of the tools you see on the channel, most of the tools you see, you can buy at KC Tool. Again, Wiha is not available on KC Tool, unfortunately, anymore. I appreciate anyone who has stopped by. If you enjoyed the video, if you learned something, give me a like and subscribe. And definitely want to hear from you guys. Let me know what you think. But that's all I have for y'all today. I appreciate you again. Peace.